It is my singular honor to introduce to you a champion of critical thought, of academic freedom, of intellectual pluralism, and of personal courage, and one of the rightly most influential American historians of the 20th and 21st centuries. His work on slavery changed the way scholars thought about both that institution and about the role of religion in slave resistance to slavery. One of those brilliant minds that openly moved from left to right while his colleagues were all moving lockstep from left to lefter, Eugene Genovese was willing to sacrifice place and false friends for his ongoing devotion to knowledge and liberty. The driving force in an effort to establish a voice of honest and unpoliticized debate in a partisan historical profession, he founded the Historical Society. He has been and remains a hero to those who care about integrity and higher truths. Last night, he and his late magnificent wife, Betsy Fox Genovese, were awarded the Jean Jordan Kirkpatrick Academic Freedom Award. It's my great honor to give you Eugene Genovese.
Thank you, and thank you, Alan, for that lovely introduction. I shall try to relate academic freedom, academic standards, and international politics, and insist that they cannot be separated any longer. Permit me to begin by telling you what you doubtless know and are sick of hearing. The decline of academic freedom has proceeded along with a breathtaking collapse of academic standards, of respect for learning. Our leading universities have transformed the humanities into ideological soapboxes. I shall not belabor the effects of the class, race, gender, multicultural swindle. But if you want a quick view, turn to that TV show, Law and Order. The police investigated a campus murder and came upon an English professor, excuse me, who wrote a dissertation entitled "The Whale is Red, a revolutionary Marxist deconstruction of Moby Dick." That would rank among the higher level performances these days. I did find that funny, but what I did not find funny was my experience in trying to teach the Old South. The progressive forces abolished required survey courses in Western civilization and American history. So I had to begin each course, as other professors did, by telling my students who John C. Calhoun was, and even where they could find South Carolina on a map. You know, I never did figure out how to teach Calhoun's constitutional and political thought to students who had not read Aristotle or even heard of Hobbes and Locke. That's not much of an exaggeration. The disappearance of elementary knowledge from curricula marks the political agenda. Truth and morals have been redefined as positional or conditional, which means one thing: something is true and moral if it serves the revolutionary purposes of the oppressed, which in practice means the purposes of bourgeois professors who love to speak in the name of the oppressed, about whom most know very little. It follows that a professor or a student may call himself a Christian without being ridiculed, but provided only that he accepts all religions as equally valid and rejects such bigotry as the notion that Jesus is his Lord and Savior. Along with this pseudo-philosophy goes a hard agenda. There is nothing in the reigning philosophy or politics that identifies anything worth dying for. And I would emphasize that, to me at any rate, and for a long time, that simple thought I've regarded as perhaps one of the most murderous features of our current miseducation. And since the United States is projected as the most racist and imperialist and cruel of nations, I wish they would study the history of China, among other countries. The United States is inferior even to Saddam Hussein and his quasi-Nazi Ba'ath Party. By the same token, the theocratic regime in Iran and the Stalinist regimes in Cuba and North Korea are virtuous by the simple fact that they combat American imperialism. Now, let me pay tribute to the great work of FIRE, the National Association of Scholars, the American Council of Trustees and Alumni, which have scored stunning successes in curbing the worst of the totalitarian excesses on our campuses. And they have defended beleaguered professors and students who otherwise would not have had a chance. But whole departments, notably those of English and history, and the leading professional organizations remain dominated by people who have no respect for academic standards, much less academic freedom, and declare America the center of the world's evil. Nor under current conditions have the best of our efforts succeeded in punishing administrations for justifying vigilante law. Leftists denounce dissidents as racist, sexist, homophobes. Scorning to define terms, to file formal charges, present evidence, and concede due process, hoodlum seize and burn campus newspapers, conservative campus newspapers, shout down speakers, break up meetings, and subject adversaries to everyday indignities. Meanwhile, they bully gutless administrators into doing their bidding. None of these crimes, so far as I know, has ever been punished in law. Yet I do not think it worthwhile to dwell overmuch on the atrocities. Rather, I think it's time for self-criticism. Why aren't those newspapers physically defended? The assailants engage in acts of violence. Violence has no place on campuses, but self-defense does.